Fitness and Thinking is a free weekly newsletter and podcast that is fascinated with 6 pillars of fitness: the physical, mental, social, emotional, spiritual, and financial states of being. Before the competitions, before the sport that we're going to discuss, who were you? How much of that is still you? If I met you 10 years ago, who were you?
Well, I'm 20. I just turned 29. So if you met me at 19, you would have met a completely different individual with a very different lifestyle to the lifestyle I lead now. Who was I? I can't really tell you because I don't think I necessarily knew who I was at that moment in time. One of my biggest struggles was that, who am I? And finding that kind of identity within, okay, who do I want to become? Who do I want to develop into? What do I stand for?
And as somebody who is now in prep, if we were to take it all away, would that person have developed? Would that person still be looking for an identity? Do you think if prep were to disappear tomorrow, you'd know who you are now?
There was a point towards the beginning of my journey where I found myself almost tying my identity solely to just bodybuilding, and then I kind of forgot everything around me that matters to me. And without bodybuilding, I didn't necessarily know who I was. There was actually a potential of my prep being taken away from me recently. Before I actually started prep, I didn't even know if I'd be able to prep due to some hormonal issues.
Yeah.
So it did cause a little bit of turmoil, one can say, and it made me reflect, okay, who am I if I don't do this, if I never get the opportunity to do this again? But I feel like I've built so much around me now, with coaching, PTing, my partner, and having my close circle of friends that, are more than just a bodybuilder. I'm not just a bodybuilder. Wow, it's a big part of who I am and what I do. I'm a friend, I'm a partner. I have aspirations to help others, so I drive motivation from that as well, rather than just bodybuilding. But bodybuilding was a massive stepping stone for me to begin with.
How'd you get into it?
I struggled with an eating disorder when I was younger. So exercise, I didn't really have a great relationship with exercise. It was more as punishment rather than enjoyment. I didn't necessarily know how to train or how to lift. I did a lot of cardio, a little bit of like baby weights, as most girls start with, and just not a lot of food. So I was actually within mental health services for a long time, and over time, as my physical health progressed, I was not allowed to exercise. The gym was taken away from me, but again, it was almost like nice. In a way, it didn't feel nice at the moment in time because it was my only kind of sense of control other than food, but simultaneously it was like I was given the permission to not do it, to not punish myself in that matter. So I was able to take the focus away from that, focus on getting better. And once I'd restored my weight, I really wanted to go back into it. Now I wanted to lose 5 kg. That's how it started. And I got a coach and I started learning how to lift, and I saw what my body's capable of doing, which is what got me into bodybuilding now.
Why would anyone get into bodybuilding? So identity, we've said, it's part of what you do. It's not all of what you are, but then also the sense of control is a big bit of it. And then was there a case of finding community in it for you as well? Or was it just initially you wanting to know what your body was like in space and who you were?
I was actually really nervous, obviously. I've seen kind of a handful of bodybuilders. I've seen people train hard, and I felt wildly intimidated. I love the look, especially seeing female bodybuilders. Actually, one of the first bodybuilders I saw were within the female figure division, and that's probably my favorite look to this day.
Okay.
I loved the strong look on a female, and I thought, oh my god, like, instead of shrinking yourself, you can build towards something. Now, I never thought that would be me or I'll be able to do it, but I admired those women, and that in a way helped me want to try. I mean, I've surpassed my expectation for myself. I didn't expect to be where I am now, so it's like I genuinely don't think I'd be the person I am without it. I've digressed as always. What brought me into it was myself initially, that competition with myself, but in a different light rather than self-destructing, self-building. And then I found the community through hosting seminars, getting into the world of bodybuilding, and I thought, oh my god, everyone's actually amazing. Like, the big jacked people that you see that you're most intimidated of are the nicest people, and they're always happy to help, always happy to have chat with you. And generally speaking, you get the passion that they have, they're happy to share. But they just look scary when you first see them.
For sure. I think what you've described though is a love of the look, and maybe something that isn't understood outside of the space is what the look is, what it's about, what people aim for. So when you kind of think on your feeling for it, what do you like about women's physique? What's that look? What does it do for you? What are you looking at that makes you go, wow? Or can you describe it?
Everything. I mean, first of all, for a female to build that amount of muscle mass, and yes, some people might say, oh, but it's not natural. Even if some of it isn't natural, it doesn't take away from the work that they've put in. Like, you still need to give it 100% day in, day out before, adding the assistance, right? So again, it's an art. I think bodybuilding, yes, it is a sport, but I'd say it's also very much a form of art. You're able to create a sculpture basically out of your own physique, and I think that's amazing, especially like females. It's really, really hard to grow muscle. It's really hard to have the big shoulders, the big back, the definition that, let's say, a male with testosterone would have a lot easier. And it's just admirable that you've pushed yourself to that limit and you continue pushing.
Yeah. So when you see these physiques, I think a common word bandied outside of the space that you're particularly in, and I've kind of got one foot in, one foot out, is scary, or like monster, or roid boy, or like all of these terms. But I think for you and I, we know how hard it is to build muscle and how long muscle building takes. So actually, when you see like somebody carrying muscle, you're in awe of that. You don't see anything scary about it necessarily.
It's the relentlessness. Like, as a female, it's taken years. They didn't just transform like that. It's, you have done this for X amount of time. Some people have done it for 10 years. Like, they've started as, I don't know, someone small to bigger than some guys. And I think why it can be intimidating, especially within the female realm. And when you see a woman like that, you think, oh, God. But they like the look. They enjoy being like that. It doesn't impact anyone outside. So
No.
I've never really understood why people are so bothered by muscle, or females especially. Like, why are you bothered about it? It's not, it doesn't impact you in any way.
No. In the space, is there a concern around that binary of masculine and feminine? As you say, people like the look. So would there be an instance of female bodybuilders fearing it, or like worried that they look too masculine? Does that happen?
I'm sure that there's, the bigger growth in the bigger divisions as the sport progresses and evolves. Obviously, they're getting bigger and bigger. Therefore, it leads to kind of more extreme measures needed to be taken to be competitive. And I can't speak for every female out there, but I'm pretty sure that is a concern, because you're still judged from your femininity on stage. So there's finding that balance of, right, keeping the femininity while also packing on the size as a female. A lot of people stop, a lot of people retire, and I think it is due to what it takes to get to that level. And again, potentially risking a little bit of your femininity and risking virilization or your fertility. But again, it's what risk are you willing to take, how much are you willing to give to the sport, and what matters to you the most is what you need to ask yourself before proceeding with those.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think the average gym goer gets wrong about it? Based on your experience as a coach and somebody who, is judged on how they look.
I think people think that bodybuilders are self-obsessed and vain, and they love themselves, which, in my opinion, can be further from the truth. For someone to have the drive that a bodybuilder has, you need to have some sort of dissatisfaction. Because if you're happy with how you look, you're not going to push, right? You're not going to challenge yourself day in and day out. You're never happy with how you look. It's never enough, and you're never big enough. And that's almost the double-edged sword within bodybuilding, because it's, where do you draw the line? But you don't really draw the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why it's an extreme sport, right? There's a lot more focus nowadays on health within bodybuilding, and while I do like that, so obviously longevity is very important within the sport, it's meant to be an extreme sport. It's meant to be freaky in a way. It's meant to be hard, and it's meant to have that wow factor, because not everyone can do it, and I think that's the beauty of it. And it's your choice on what you're willing to do.
Sure.
Does that answer your question?
I think it does. It's sparked 3 or 4 more questions. When does that obsession become unhealthy? When is it too much? And do you just have to accept that maybe all of it is too much? Because something I'm aware of, you have like the safer use protocols, PEDs, which we might come on to later on. Like it's safer use. In that phrase is the notion that it's not safe. You know, there is no safe way.
Safe way, really. It's more of damage limitation than completely eradicating that. And you never know. Like, let's say if you were to go in the realm of PED use, you don't know how your body's going to respond. You just take the risk.
Yeah.
And again, is that risk something I want to take, not knowing what the outcome will be? And it's very much a game of toying with your health in a way to find out, because you wouldn't know. Like, you can read all the research in the world and you can know the science behind it, but you don't know how an exogenous hormone is going to react with your personal body and physicality, physiology as well.
100%. Where for you personally is the fun in it? Like you said, you've exceeded your expectations. Is the fun in the look? Is the fun in the training? Where do you find the meaning? Like, what keeps you coming back to it?
Well, I found a love for training to begin with.
Yeah.
I didn't think, oh my God, I want to step on stage, therefore I'll go to the gym. I found the gym, I started training, I learned how to train. I thought, oh my God, I love this. And I loved the ability to progress. I am very much achievement-oriented individual. Sometimes I need to rein it in because it can drive me insane. So to me, bodybuilding and lifting weights, let's say lifting weights specifically in hypertrophy training, is my outlet for achievement. Because if I give it, I don't know, if I get 1 extra rep today, if I push a little bit more weight today, then I've achieved something better than yesterday.
Yep.
And to me, that is what drives me. Like, I want to see how much more I can push. And obviously, you reach a point where, you know, when you've been training for years, the initial kind of, the beginning, you skyrocket, right? And then it slows down. This is where you have to be more patient and knowing that you're not going to achieve the same thing if you're a newbie as, let's say, a more experienced lifter. This is going to be a little bit harder, but it is that graft, it's that hunt, it's that chase for the next thing. That's how I function overall in life. So to me, bodybuilding is a no-brainer. It perfectly suits my personality style.
The phrase you've just used is really good. So no-brainer to describe bodybuilding, because it's obviously a stereotype that bodybuilders aren't clever, but
they're not all the smartest of bunch.
They're not, but it's partially supported by data to suggest that there is damage to the brain with steroid use. With that though, and what you described, there's always another rep to get. There's always another movement. I think something that I love about lifting weights is that if I max out something, say if I maxed out a leg extension in the gym, well, I can do it single leg now, you know? So then you've still got this ceiling to go into. Yeah, and if you can max it out with 1 leg, the strength required to do that means that you'll put some muscle on, you'll put some size on. And so for me, it's that enjoyment of being able to build the strength, build the competence, know that I could look at something, look at a machine and move it. Or actually there's some furniture I need to take upstairs, probably move it. I know what it's like to move that weight though. Maybe I'll ask somebody to help, and actually getting to understand what your limits are every single day in like a relatively safe way. And, you know, where we work in quite a nice community as well. Yeah. There's some of the things that I really appreciate about it that I wouldn't have known necessarily.
Exactly that. I agree. Completely.
When you talk about you're always wanting to be bigger. So Don Mazzetti, if you remember him, the kind of parody bodybuilder, one of his best lines is, the day you start lifting is the day you're forever small.
Yeah.
Yeah. When do you get over that, and how do you get over that? Is there a way?
I'll tell you when I find out.
Yeah.
No, I don't. While you are in the world of competitive bodybuilding, right? So there's bodybuilding, just lifestyle bodybuilding, living the lifestyle, not necessarily competing, putting yourself to the ground. But when there's the competitive side of bodybuilding, I don't think that goes away. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you go and ask Mr. Olympia, he's going to tell you he's too small.
Yeah.
And he doesn't feel big enough. I think across from amateur to pro level, ask any bodybuilder, they will tell you they're too small. And those generally, I feel anyways, are the people who do well. The people who get a little bit cocky and think, yeah, I'm the dog's bollocks, usually get away with gold. So I think it's being humble and knowing there's more, but not let it take over and drive you insane to the point where you lose the love for it because you're so focused on, I need more, I need more, I need more. I think there's moments of reflection needed and to look back and think, okay, how far have I come from then to now? And just appreciate that journey before you get put onto the next. Because the bar will always move. It's, oh, you'll do, I don't know, maybe you'll do a first time at show. Okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? Maybe you've grown, you've put, I don't know, 5 kg of muscle this year. What's next? How much more can I grow? Where can I squeeze more out of? So the bar will forever move. It's just about being mindful that that bar will be moving, and you just need to think about, again, longevity in the sport from all aspects. Because even if it's like remove PEDs, if you're completely natural and you're constantly battering your body day in, day out and not giving it the recovery it needs, not deloading, you're not spending time also looking after it. It will give up on you eventually. And again, you're not going to be able to do the sport that you love doing. And if you can't train, if you get injured, it impacts the physique, impacts how much you grow.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to consider, but sometimes it's difficult to consider when you're in the moment in your tunnel vision.
Yeah. How many times have you, if at all, felt satisfied though with the look? Like, have you looked in the mirror and seen objectively you look incredible, but would you have seen yourself as enough in those moments?
No.
No.
Probably not. I can appreciate the growth. I can appreciate the look and what I've achieved. Can I say, yeah, that's enough? No. Do I require more all the time? Yeah, I don't think right now for me it's not enough. And I just have a vision in my head, right? And I like to think if I reach that vision, it'll be enough. Being realistic, I know it's not going to be enough, and then the bar will move again. But for the moment in time, there's a vision that I'm after, and I won't rest until I reach the vision.
What's that? Can you describe it?
Be bigger and turn into an IFBB pro, and then take it from there and see what happens.
For people who maybe wouldn't know what that looks like though, from where you are, you've already described like shoulders and small waist as a look. And it's something that I like in built bodies as well, because you get this classic kind of V look. But where would you want to go with it? What does your vision look like from where you are and kind of relative to other physiques?
So my personal favorite look, like I mentioned earlier, is figure.
Yeah.
Now, I'm very realistic in knowing I don't have the genetic predisposition to be a figure girl, right? So figure, generally speaking, big shoulders, wider back, beautiful, beautiful look. In my eyes, the best look in bodybuilding and female bodybuilding. But I would never get there, like, right, to the level that I'd like to be in terms of competitiveness and in terms of turning pro, maybe competing at a pro show and doing relatively well. If I was being realistic, as a figure girl, I wouldn't achieve that.
Yeah.
So the look is very relative to the category you're in, right? So I'll talk about bikini, which is symmetry between delts, glutes, small waist, a big, big focus on your glutes, hamstrings, tie in, and those shoulders, but they shouldn't be too big.
Okay.
But also not too small. So you want symmetry.
So it's not about the biggest in bikini.
No, in bikini, size isn't everything. It's very much the look and the shape, which a lot of the time I think my shape carries me rather than me being the biggest, right? So I've done well in shows, and I think it's just the overall look and the shape rather than me being the biggest girl on stage, because I haven't been the biggest girl on stage, but that's, I guess, the beauty of bikini. It's not the bigger, the mass monster. It's still need to be feminine. It's not just get massive, ruin the look, waist thickens, etc. You need to consider all these things. I think bikini is probably one of the hardest divisions when it comes to getting the perfect look and also judging it too.
Yeah. And then, so we've got bikini, we've got figure.
So we've got a fit model now.
Okay.
So it's just under bikini, which was introduced recently, last year actually. And that is again due to the nature of bodybuilding. Bikini girls looked like fit model girls 5 years ago. Bikini girls probably now look like figure girls 5 years ago. And, you know, the mass is increasing, therefore the standard is moving.
Sure.
What you look for is still the same in terms of the symmetry, shape, waist, etc. But the mass of the girls compared to 5 years ago now, it's very
gone up. Yeah.
So yeah, you've got fit model, you've got bikini, you've got wellness, figure, and then you move on to the big girls, women's physique, women's bodybuilding.
It's just interesting to hear the different groupings and how, as you say, over years, you might just gradually all shift.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's happened. Everyone's bigger. Everyone is bigger now.
When we think about bodybuilding as a whole, it's building the body. It's typically about, as you say, people getting bigger. But you're in prep at the moment. So for people who don't necessarily know the flow of a season, what is prep? How long does it last? What does it mean? What are you hoping to get from it?
It lasts as long as it lasts.
Yeah.
So for some people compete pretty much all year round. Some people stay in prep for probably a long time between competitions. You know, if you start competing in April, I've seen girls compete till November. Is that optimal and ideal? Absolutely not. Especially for a female, physiology in terms of health, hormones, etc. Keeping that low body fat for so long is not the epitome of health. But anyways, what is prep? Well, prep is basically the process of losing body fat, retaining as much of your muscle as possible, and getting conditioned enough for the stage. And I think so when people see me now, and people even saw me 5 weeks ago, and they heard that I'm dieting, right? They'll ask, oh my God, why are you dieting? You don't need to diet. I'm like, because there's more body fat to lose. And they'll look like, from where? Like, but once you see yourself stage lean, right? Once you see that look, until you're stage lean, you're never lean. Like the bar again moves. Like I can appreciate that I'm lean compared to the general population.
Sure.
But when you've seen yourself striated, dry, hard, it doesn't quite hit the same. So bodybuilding almost skews your perception of what lean is.
Yeah.
And me and my friends often have that conversation because, you know, if you see like, I don't know, your fitness influencer, for example, and you'll drop a few kg and they're like, oh, I'm so lean, etc. In my head, me, I don't know, 5 kg heavier to the normal person that I'm lean, right? To me, no, it's like 6 kilo that can come off. What do you mean?
That's crazy. And I think it's something that you become more aware of with practice and going through the different cycles is understanding that it's not just about fat, it's about water, it's about glycogen, it's how your muscles hold on to things. It's about water under the skin, maybe making you look puffier or, you know, not as dry, not as hard. It's incredible. You know, there's so much to the body that I've learned from spending time with bodybuilders, but then, you know, I try and experiment with it myself. And I don't think I'll ever get to stage lean, but feeling your waist just go and having a completely flat stomach and not knowing where the fat is anymore is an experience.
It is. It really is. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I love it. I love dieting. I love prep. I love seeing the shreds. I can't say that I don't love it. That's also why I do it. I almost get a high from it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's great.
The thing about that look is that while we might hold some of these people up, some of these figures up as peak fitness, we are saying that it's not peak health.
God, absolutely not.
No. So when you're thinking about prepping, like the weeks leading up to a show, what might happen, you know, between coach and athlete? What's the sort of direction that might be given to get that dry, hard look, for instance?
Well, right, with bikini, for example, it's less about the dryness and the hardness, okay, than other federations. You need to be conditioned but bubbly. That's why it becomes a harder division to get right and also judge and present. but you still need an element of it. So the protocol will differ individual to individual. Like, let's say I am in prep now. What my coach is doing with myself is different to what I'm doing with my prep client, who's also a bikini girl at the moment, because of how her body responds versus how my body responds. The level of muscle mass you have as well will determine that. Your off season, how much your body fat put on, will determine how your prep goes as well. So if you get quite chunky, your prep is going to be harder.
Yeah.
But this time around, my body composition throughout my off season, relatively speaking, stayed quite good. I say that, but now I look back and I'm like, God, I was chunky. But again, not as chunky as I would have been in my prior off season. So it's made this prep almost a breeze. I'm not going to say it's not been difficult, but the more you do this as well, year in, year out, you learn more about yourself. It becomes like normal life. Like even my partner was saying, well, it's like normal life. I haven't even really felt that you're in prep. But if we throw it back to 2023, when he first experienced my first ever prep, he'll say a whole different story then.
Yeah. When I'm thinking about a lot of physiques on stage, and, you know, even when I've done photo shoots, or I think about Hollywood actors and an expectation of them before they go on stage or on camera is that they might not drink any water for a day, for instance, to help pull it from under the skin. And you might have different protocols that involve playing around with salt and with carbs, just on a very basic level, so that muscles appear fuller and skin is tighter, like wrapped around the muscle. But in order to do that, you're eating very differently to the average person, you know, and this is the unsustainability of it in part, isn't it? So when you talk about somebody maybe in prep for that long and maybe trying to hold on to a look for a period of time, then it does become increasingly difficult, doesn't it?
I think the misconception is like you don't necessarily hold a look, right? You never look how you look on show day on stage day. So show day is the look. Okay, that's the ultimate goal. You don't maintain that look, it's really hard. As soon as you step off stage, you rehydrate, you have a little bit of glycogen, the look changes, right?
Yeah.
So we don't maintain the stage look, but like you say, you manipulate the water. We don't, like in bikini, if you're pulling water out completely, very, very silly, don't do that. Generally speaking, water is needed. There's a big misconception, and I've heard some crazy protocols where girls weren't allowed any water, no salt, no this, no that, which just leads to a flatter look, a lot harder look to fill as well.
Yeah.
Water is very much essential. You don't want to be fully dehydrated. On show day as well, you have a lot less, maybe just sips throughout the day, maybe 100 ml, 50 to 100 ml fluid at a time. Again, gauging on the look. So my coach today might tell me, let's say tomorrow show day, he's like, okay, this is the plan, but if I wake up tomorrow and the look doesn't look like we've imagined it would, then he'll manipulate things based on the look. So then it very much becomes being able to know what you're looking at and then manipulating based on that rather than just reading the science, because again, everybody's different.
Yeah.
So someone might need a little bit extra carbohydrate, whereas someone might need less, because if they have more, then their their waist will spill, and then they don't look as lean or smaller waist on stage. And there's every little thing that you need to consider.
Yeah.
And also what sorts of food you're picking on the day as well. Some people have like burgers before.
Okay.
Like the night before. Like a lot of it is usually the guys, but there's some girls that I know that they both should say, go have a burger.
Yeah.
But I think that comes from, again, working with a coach long enough, them knowing how your body responds. If you kind of chuck a burger and hope for the best, then it becomes an issue. It's usually tested trial. It responds well with the individual, digests well, it wouldn't impact digestion. But if you just trial it, as you're taking a bit of a risk, right? Because you don't know, you might retain a little bit too much water, you might wake up completely different and look worse the next day. So it's very different. Like, I've never had a burger, unfortunately. Please don't give me a burger. But I trialed it with my client last year because we went in for the second show with no expectation, really. I was like, and after her post-show, she obviously had quite a lot of sweet treats. The next day, the look was really good. So I was like, do you want to try a sweet treat the night before your show? He was like, yeah. So we had a waffle and some McDonald's fries. The next morning, she woke up looking great. Digested perfectly fine, waist was fine.
Nice.
But it's, again, individual dependent.
Sure. I think a really nice thread through a lot of this is that the girl, the guy, the model, the actor doesn't look like what they look like on stage or on screen or in the magazine. You know, they might do for
5 minutes.
5 minutes. That is it.
Yeah.
And that's what you will work for. You might work a year for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And
it's quite literally that.
And I think when you understand that, maybe there's space to be a little bit kinder to yourself throughout. Obviously not if you're competitive, but to the person watching this, understanding that what we maybe aspire towards isn't sustainable for everyone.
That's why I think that I'd never preach that bodybuilding is sustainable or that it's even healthy. Because I've had conversations before when people have actually open conversations online with me saying, oh, but this isn't healthy, like you can see your ribs. I'm aware it isn't healthy. I don't think any bodybuilder sits there thinking, oh my God, this is the healthiest thing for me to do in my life. You know, we know that. I don't need you to come and tell me it isn't healthy. I'm very well aware of what I've put my body through.
Yeah.
But actively, it's my choice. It doesn't impact you in any way. So what frustrates me is when people are like, oh my God, this isn't healthy. I'm like, great. You eating chips every Friday isn't healthy too, but you're doing it. You drinking every week and getting absolutely smashed off your face isn't healthy, but I don't come and tell you that. So why are you coming to me and telling me being lean isn't healthy? I'm aware. That's usually my frustration. Like, mind your own business. Joyful.
Did you know that each episode of Fitness and Thinking takes about 10 hours to put together? If you've enjoyed them, then I've got a favour to ask of you. It's not your money. It is just a second to like what you like. Maybe a couple of seconds to leave a comment on what you enjoyed, what you changed, what you might have asked the guests, and maybe to ask me to bring on somebody or to discuss a topic that you're interested in. The last thing is to subscribe if you haven't already. That could be a massive sign to all those algorithms that you are interested in what Fitness and Thinking is all about.
You made the point of people sticking to their own business. You've also mentioned your partner though, and 2023. What can prep be like for the people around you?
Well, if you're a dickhead, it could be hell. And I think it's very important that you have to remind yourself you choose to do this. You know, when the going gets tough. I think 2023 for me, I wasn't like mean or anything like that, but I was so tunnel vision, almost on edge, like just, okay, I need to get this done, I need to get that done, very regimented. Therefore, everyone around me kind of had to follow that. And I've learned to relax a lot more now. I mean, I don't stress as much over the little things. I know I'll get things done. But, you know, when it's your first time and you've never done it, you don't know what to expect. It's almost like it's a massive thing. It isn't that deep. In reality, the more you do it, the easier it becomes.
Sure.
I think for me anyways, but I think I've spent a lot of time working on my mindset. A lot of prep is that mental work. Yes, physically you are challenging your natural biology, one can say, because obviously your body tells you, okay, I need food now, and you're not giving me enough food. I've been in a deficit for X amount of time. I'm lower body fat than where I want to be. So your body will always want to be in that equilibrium, right? Your body wants to be in a state of homeostasis at all times, right? So when you're going against it, it's gonna challenge you. It's gonna start sending you signals after a while. Okay, I'm hungry now. Like I wake up in the morning now hungry. I don't even need my alarm. My body is like, hello, starving, wake up. And that's when kind of your sleep starts to suffer a little bit and you are a little bit more fatigued. Like for the last week, I've been waking up feeling like a bag of bricks have been dropped on my body and I'm a little bit slower to move. My legs feel heavier. But it's a part of the process. And I think it's learning to understand that. If you make it a horrible thing where you're just complaining all the time, you constantly say that you're tired, that's one thing. Like I find myself sometimes saying I'm tired a little bit too much and then I'll tell myself, oh, like literally stop. Because the more you tell yourself something, the more real it also becomes. And the brain is very powerful. So like yesterday, for example, I had a bit of a tough day at work. I generally was feeling like hell, but I tried to not let it show in a way. I tried to stay positive. I tried to keep myself away from that negative mindset and pick my battles. That's be probably my biggest lesson is pick your battles wisely. Okay, what is worth firing over and what isn't right now? It's a learning curve. I think, yeah, it's a lot of mindset work. And ultimately, remember, you choose to do that. You choose to put yourself where no one's making you. Partner isn't the problem. Your friends aren't the problem. No one's the problem. You choose to do this. It's about finding the circle around you that supports you and understands that this is what you do, but simultaneously, you can't take those people for granted and you can't be a dickhead to them just because you've chosen to put yourself for something like that.
Sure. What you described, hunger, tiredness, maybe that kind of sense of things feeling tougher. Like, what is actually the toughest part of prep for you, at least?
Not scrutinizing myself to the point where I stray away from the love of the sport and why I started this in the first place, which is, I'll speak a little bit about last year, okay? So when I competed in 2023, I did quite well. I placed top 3 in every show, quite a lot of first places, a few second and third, mainly first, right? I did 3 shows. I entered a few different classes within that. So like first timers, my height class, novice, etc. And because I did well and I went in with no expectation, right? I then put this crazy pressure on myself of, well, I can't do worse now. So anything under first place is progression.
Yeah.
I didn't win. I came third. I came third in my regional show against an incredible lineup of girls. The girl that won first place 3 weeks later or something like that became an IFBB pro.
Wow.
The girl that was second in my show, I came third to. She went to Sweden a week or so after, 2 weeks, and I believe she won her height class out of like a massive group of girls, like 20 plus girls on stage. So it was a whole different caliber of athletes. So now in hindsight, I'm like, well, I'm not mad I came third to this level of standard.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I was sad and I was a sore loser, and it showed. And it's the first time I was probably a sore loser. And even just like when my name got called in third place, I think what played with me is, so basically how it works for judging, if you get moved to the middle and if you get kept in the middle, you kind of know that you're probably going to win. So I was in the middle. I got moved to the middle, then I got moved out, then I got moved back in. So in my head, I was like, oh my God, maybe I have a chance. But then I got called third. My face dropped. And I then walked off stage and I was quite upset. And I couldn't necessarily appreciate what I've just done because the bar moved and suddenly I was shit. And I had my closest friends around me who were incredible. But I did have a moment and it then fired me to be better for my second show. So when I did my pro qualifier, I was like, you know what, I don't care what happens. I'll be happy regardless. I'm going to make the most out of it. And it was an incredible show. I came fourth, right? I placed, you can say, worse than my first show, but I had the best day and I was so happy on the back of it. And it's very much the mindset, but you learn. And if you allow yourself to learn through those moments, and if you don't let it almost define you, yes, I was a sore loser. Yeah, it showed. But you nip it in the bud and get on with it, because that's bodybuilding. It's not like a performance-based sport, and it can happen in a performance sport, right? But with performance, it's more, let's say if you were to do high rocks, you could have put all the work leading up to it, and maybe on the day you didn't hydrate as well, you didn't fuel as well, your race flops. Unfortunately, in that moment in time, that's your best, right? And it's kind of like bodybuilding, but then you go into the next show, you improve a little bit, you place better. We go into your next race, you've learned from the previous one, and you improve. But if you just sack it because you allow the placing or time or whatever, then you're never going to learn. You're never going to get better. You're never going to progress. And it's about that acceptance of it's not always going to go to plan. It's not going to go how you want it to go. But if you love it, you just keep doing it. And I drive a lot of inspiration from, let's say, pro athletes now who have had 10 years in the sport and they've come last and last and last and last and last over and over and over. And they kept going and they kept going. And suddenly they go from 12th to 5th to 12th to 5th again to maybe 3rd. Oh, back to 12th.
Yeah.
Then they win that first place, the overall, the pro card. But it's, again, knowing that that's what you want to do. And is it still worth it if you're never going to win? And you need to ask yourself that question. If you never win, if you never promised a pro card or a medal, and if you're just doing this, putting your body through this, because it takes a lot out of you and a lot of money too.
Yeah.
Are you still going to do it? And that's where your why becomes so important. Like my why wasn't a first place. I never got into this to win a first place. We all want to win. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I don't want to win. I do. But ultimately, my why didn't come from the win. It came from something deeper. And that's why I try to remind myself now. So this season, I'm a lot more relaxed. I don't really expect anything. I think towards the start of prep, I had a lot of doubt. I was like, what am I even doing this for? I haven't even grown, God. And I started getting in my head already into this negative mindset. I was like, I'm not going to go far with that mindset. Okay, I'm not going to complete that prep. Probably going to ruin everything. So I've spent time just realigning with, why are you actually doing this? And it's because I love it. And whatever happens, happens. I know I've enjoyed myself, and that's what I want. I don't want to look back and think, God, I've ruined it for myself because I was addicted to myself.
I think what you describe, the way that you've turned an experience, you know, of being a sore loser and like not taking it well, and kind of become this mindset. You built this mindset, but I know you to have this in everything you do, and that everything's a learning opportunity. But you've mentioned a couple of things that I think would stop a lot of people, and it's the cost of it. It's the cost on so many different levels. So could we get into that? Like, what has bodybuilding cost you that you could lay out?
Well, in terms of competing as an amateur and funding your shows, obviously you fund it all yourself. You fund your travel, you pay for your registration, you pay for your tan, you pay for everything yourself. So on the financial aspects, quite pricey to do. So you need to also want to know, is this something I want to do? I've spent a lot of money on bodybuilding. I mean, the bikini alone is around 500 quid. But it's the physical side of things, right? So last year I finished prep. My thyroid decided to just go crazy. I've never taken any thyroid supplementation or anything like that. So it's not like, oh, I took T3, T4 and it caused issues. No, I stopped prep, started eating more. My thyroid went hyperactive. I was going through hell for quite some time. And I had some really unpleasant symptoms on the back of that. I felt quite dysregulated. I wasn't myself for a long time after the effect. Then my prolactin went through the roof as well, so it was 3 times what it should have been. My estrogen was on the floor. Again, not because I've abused drugs, but just because you put your body through that diet, that low body fat, it's not going to be happy, especially as a female. And, you know, when I said to parents, for example, my mom, oh, I'm starting my prep again, her first thought was, well, do you remember how you felt after last time? I said, yeah, I do. And I go in it knowing that the outcome would probably be I'm going to feel shit. I'm going to need to take time to get my health in a better position.
Yeah.
And I still choose to do it.
And that still choosing to do it, has that cost you relationships?
Not relationships that would be important.
Okay.
Let's put it that way, right? Because I think a relationship, whether it's friendship or partnership or anything like that, I think people change, right? And that's the beauty of it. Like, if my friends from 10 years ago, for example, that I still have as friends, were different people 10 years ago to today. And if you care about someone, if you respect and love an individual, right, even in like a friendship way, you allow them to grow and become the person they want to be.
Yeah.
Given that it's within your morals and values. Let's say 2 individuals part ways completely. Like I've lost friends, you can say, because maybe they like to go out and get drunk. Maybe they're not into the gym, and I spend a lot of my time in the gym. So when I'll get asked, do you want to go out? The answer will be no. Do you want to do this? Well, no. Do you want to go for a meal? Well, I can't right now. So there's a lot of no and a lot of selfishness in a way that you have to put in to be able to do that. But the people that like you for you, not just the food. You don't need to go out for food to make memories with people, right? And when it's off season, when you can do that, then yeah, absolutely make sure you nourish these relationships, but ensure that your people know your why. You still continue to try and nourish the relationships during in prep. Like, yes, I'm probably not as communicative now with my friends as I would be outside of prep, but I still try to kind of like check in, ask how they are, they ask how I am, and it's that mutual respect of this is what you want to do. When I started prep this time around, some of my friends were like, what are you doing? Again, because I started not in an optimal place. My hormones weren't great, but I wanted to do it. I was like, I'm going to do it. And a lot of my close friends around me were saying, well, I'm not going to be a yes woman. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear because that's not what you should want to hear. That's not what you should do right now. And while I respected that, and I was sometimes frustrated, especially one of my friends, Magda, if you're watching this, I apologize in advance. I probably drove her a little bit insane, but I respect the fact that she was like, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. So ultimately, the decision landed on myself. My partner was the same. So I'm not going to be a yes man when your health is where it's at right now. But ultimately, if you consider everything and you also continue working towards bettering your health while doing this, then I'll support you. But don't just press the fucking button and throw caution into the wind. And my coach didn't want me to work as well, but we made it work here.
Yep.
It all worked fine.
So as part of the costs, the one that we have to keep coming back to is performance enhancing drugs, as PEDs. In the sport, what is the feeling about them? How necessary do they seem? Does it feel like when you look at stages that you do whatever you can to compete? Can you describe the feeling as an athlete when you look around and maybe feel any pressures or?
I wouldn't say there's pressure, right? Never have I ever been told. Luckily, I know that there's coaches that do say that to their athletes. Luckily, I haven't had such a coach that says you must take PEDs to be good or competitive. But it is having the conversation and the reality check of, while you're not doing it, other people are. And therefore, they're going to grow more than you. And again, how competitive do you want to be? What risk to reward there is? What are you willing to do to get to your goals? And again, taking it back to the longevity within the sport. How long do you want to be in the sport? Because if you want to peak and write yourself off, you can go crazy, right? But it's not going to last. So it's the sustainability of how long do you want to compete for? What does life look like when you stop competing? And I think often it's a question as bodybuilders we don't ask. I'm quite lucky in the sense that, one of my coaches in the past had that conversation with me. I was like, what does Zlattie in 10 years want? Right? Does Zlattie still want this? And right now I'm like, yeah, but now, I'm 29. When I'm 39, will I still be doing this? Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know. But for me, I wouldn't say pressure, but simultaneously, it's very normalized that you almost become in this echo chamber where, women around you are taking PEDs. The conversation is open, flowing. I could go and speak to a female bodybuilder and just hit her with a question, no problem, which is quite nice because it used to be quite taboo. I think more and more females are talking about it, and I think that comes from, again, people having bad experiences. So there's more education on female PED use. So again, there's more education still needed, more research needed. But we've learned a lot, but there's more to learn. And it's very normalized. If I wasn't with my partner right now, who isn't a bodybuilder, so he is very much like into fighting, he's been a fighter his whole life, his style of training is very different. It would have been very easy for me to get all into the bodybuilding because I'm very much all or nothing individual as well. And that's kind of the route I was going. I'll do whatever I need to do to get to where I want to be.
Yeah.
So it's almost reining that in and being patient. And I'm not always patient, but simultaneously, I think long-term goals, if those negative side effects from PED use were to happen, will I be happy? Have I taken the necessary measures to try and mitigate that danger? I guess?
Yeah.
And you still can't fully remove it. You just accept that if you go and take a male hormone, you might be fine, but you might not be fine within 2 weeks. So it's a Russian roulette that you're playing with your health, you're playing with your hormones, you're potentially putting yourself in a position where you need X amount of time to recover from. But again, it's what are you willing to take? What does the sport mean to you? And being realistic, how far are you going to make it? Am I going to be Miss Olympia? At my age now, realistically, probably not.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot of that you need to consider.
Yeah.
It's very normalized within sport, but I wouldn't recommend it to someone, for example, unless you are 100% sure in what you're doing.
And that's a question that might be asked across any sport, of course. And describing it as an extreme sport as you have, I think is a really good way to do it. You know, for that slice, maybe of recognition, you might not even get that. You might make it to the stage and then
on stage, last, overlooked. Don't even get looked at. The judges don't even pull you to the side. Like, you just stay there in the corner. And you've given 16, 20, 28, however many weeks, money, health, for possibly 5 minutes of you not even being looked at. And you accept that. And you hope that that's not the case, but you don't know.
Yeah. I would rather have the conversation. I would rather suggest that it's a possibility than act as if it weren't. And, you know, like, I respect people who will talk about it and also say, look, there are risks, there are dangers. And I think maybe the glamorous aspect of it is what we see is the tans.
But if you see the weeks leading to the show day, it's completely different. Like, if you see me, you see, obviously we work together, so you see me on a daily basis. You see where I started, where I'm at now. When you see me close to the show, I'm going to probably look a little bit like a zombie, tired, fatigued, like a little frail person. Obviously, when you're on stage, you're pumped, your muscle is full, you have the tan, you have the makeup, the glam. It looks amazing, but it doesn't feel amazing. You're in space. Like, when I'm on that stage, I'm in space. I'm literally in the dissociation line. I don't even know what's going on half the time. I'm barely thinking. You're dehydrated most of the time. Yeah, you're just in space a little bit.
So what's that feeling like? Survival? You're listening for the cues from the judges, like when you're on the stage and maybe you're not feeling on this planet. Like, talk us through that.
Just move quick, you know. You've got a lot of lights, the tan, you feel hot, you like the tan is slippy. I got a cramp actually in my second show so badly. My lower back was spasmed when I was posing. Like, it was agony. It's those little things which impact the presentation. Again, it's 5 minutes on stage. Those 5 minutes need to be your best, but it doesn't always go that way. Like, when I was walking to the back of the stage as well, I rolled my ankle. I've been posing for years on end, okay? I've never rolled my ankle on stage, and it happened in my second season. My second show, I rolled my ankle, and it tripped and fell. And you just carry on. You just rescue it and continue, and that's it. 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's done. You spend the whole day there backstage waiting, glamming up for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you don't love it, you're going to hate the sport, and you see it quite often, people coming out of it saying, oh, bodybuilding ruined my relationship with food, it gave me an eating disorder, it ruined my mental health. That's what you weren't giving. You weren't doing it for the right reasons. You saw the glam, and you thought, that's what I want. And a lot of people think of the stage, not everything leading up to the stage, the hardship, the health, the relationships, the financial aspect, how routine you have to be. Like, you go X amount of weeks without an off-plan meal, without a little sweet treat, with a little this or a little that, and it needs to be worth it to you. Like, for me, it's not about the 5 minutes on stage. I love competing, right? But if you take the stage away, I'll still train like a bodybuilder. I'll still live the lifestyle, probably just with more flexibility.
There's something that you've just said that I want to pick up on specifically, and then I think I've got one last question before we bring it home. So the eating disorder aspect, obviously you said at the top that you had an eating disorder before you got into bodybuilding, and there'll be quite a few people outside of the sport, maybe in the sport as well, describe bodybuilding and certainly stage presentation as eating disorder in a pageant, or like a beautified eating disorder. That's fair to say, unfair?
I would say not fair to say. It's a controlled starvation almost, right? But it's for a period of time. An eating disorder is a mental disorder. It's not a physical disorder, and that's what people don't understand. I struggled with an eating disorder before I was severely underweight, before my health got impacted, because it's a mental illness. That's why it's one of the top deadliest mental illness out there. It starts in the head. I was turning into skin and bone, and I saw myself as enormous. I'd literally cry every single day at the reflection of myself when people around me were worried and telling me you're not well. I was like, what do you mean I'm not well? I'm huge. You're all telling me this because you want me fat.
Yeah.
And it's that deep. It's that extreme. Bodybuilding isn't like that. You know what you're doing it for. And bodybuilders get frustrated when people say, oh, it's an eating disorder. It's not an eating disorder. It's okay to have a goal. And there's also life after an eating disorder, for example. Like some people question me, oh, you just switched one to the next. Like, no, I actually took 2+ years out of any diet, anything. I lived like a normal person before I decided to have physique goals. And it's okay to have physique goals as long as you have the self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have the self-awareness, yes, it's going to ruin your relationship with food because you're dieting a very extreme diet X amount of time. But if you have the mental strength and resilience and the self-awareness and you know what you're getting yourself into, you know it comes to an end, you need to gain the weight back. So it serves a purpose. The purpose is the stage. And it's the same as a Hyrox act. You can say someone who does Hyrox is disordered then because they train twice a day sometimes. So you see, obviously, the Hyrox people here, they'll come in the morning, they'll come in the evening, they'll be doing running, this and that. The crazy expenditure. Are they disordered? No, it's their sport. It's what they love. It's what gets them. It's what makes them tick. It's what makes them better. But I think bodybuilding will always tickle people wrong in a way. I don't know why. Personally, is it because the discipline that it takes? And let's put it that way: a bodybuilder will never judge you. Someone doing better than you is never going to judge you. Someone who is maybe unable to do something will probably judge you and point fingers. But again, you don't impact anyone. Like bodybuilding, we come in, right? Head down, train, get out, plan our meals, cook our meals. It doesn't impact anyone in any way. We're just happy to live in that way, but it seemingly bothers people. I don't know why, but it does.
Obviously, you're an advocate, an evangelist for bodybuilding as a sport. You love it. You live it. Like, it's incredible to see. And you, the people in the gym that I get to train with and train among, like, big inspirations for me. But what's one thing with your experience that bodybuilding couldn't give you that maybe you hoped it would? Is there anything that
couldn't give me a better relationship in terms of like a better body image? That's what it couldn't give me.
Yeah.
So my body dysmorphia has probably gotten worse. But other than that, everything else gotten better. So on the flip side, we deal with the body dysmorphia, and the body dysmorphia becomes the driver. So it's a win-win situation, right? That's what I tell myself.
Zlattie, appreciate you so much. Where do you want to send people from here?
Don't compare yourself to bodybuilders on stage, and don't strive for their look on stage, because we don't even look like that majority of the time. Like, we look like that for about 5-10 minutes, like we've spoken about. The look is held for a specific reason, and then it goes. Like, leading up to it, the day after, you don't look the same. You never look like you look on stage. So, yeah, don't scrutinize yourself just because you don't look like someone on stage and you dieted. You're not going to look like a bodybuilder because so much goes into it. So much control to the gram of salt. So, enjoy, train, lift, but don't put crazy expectations of yourself. If the goal is not the stage or bodybuilding or competing, then don't compare yourself to best bodybuilders because you'll just ruin the love for this.
Nice. And then to your own stuff, Instagram, website, would you want to send people there?
Zlattie.coaching.
Cheers.
Oh, I hope this was for you.
Oh. What do you reckon, Beth, from what you saw? Yeah?
We'll find out soon.
We will. I think you smashed it.
We can do one post show too. So was your 5 minutes on stage worth it? Well,
And most weeks we're catching up with experts, practitioners, and generally great people to discuss the big and the small, the smart and the sometimes delulu. And every single chat has gone in a direction that I've not necessarily expected. If you want more of it, it would mean the world if you could leave a comment, say what you like, what you dislike, who you'd like on, what we've not covered, what we could have gone into more depth with. And if you could subscribe to see what we get up to based on your feedback. It doesn't matter how big or small these podcasts get. It's always going to come down to you watching it, enjoying it, hating it, and in any direction telling me for why. I've loved building it up to this point, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. And you're a massive part of that. So do engage with it. Do let me know when you see me or online if we've not met yet. Much love. I'll see you in the next one.